6 months ago, one of the most significant events of the Russian war against Ukraine occurred, the Kursk Operation. On August 6, 2024, Ukrainian troops crossed the Russian border. They quickly captured several settlements in the Kursk region, where a military commandant's office was established. The operation of the armed forces of Ukraine somewhat stunned the Russian command with how quickly it proceeded. By the time the Russians were able to regroup, Ukrainian troops had managed to destroy bridges and begin fortifying their positions. In the fall, the Russians attempted to launch a counteroffensive, but the Ukrainian troops managed to repel it. Towards winter, the Russians threw North Korean troops into battle, but to little effect. Here, you can watch our reports from the front lines to recall all the key events of the Kursk operation.
Over the last week, events in the Kursk region of the Russian Federation have seriously shaken the overall situation. Ukrainian troops managed to get control over approximately 1,150 square kilometers of territory from which Russians were constantly shelling Ukraine. We've compiled a selection of this week's highlights. The first hours of the operation in the Kursk region, published by the General Staff of Ukraine, Ukrainian troops are constantly advancing deep into Russian territory, firing at the enemy. Ukrainian fighters managed to destroy a Russian convoy near Rilsk. Soldiers of the Armed Forces of Ukraine captured the abandoned Russian T-80B VM in Sudzha, Kursk region. Ukrainian fighters interrogate Russian captured soldiers. There is no exact number of captured Russian soldiers yet. However, many videos of Russian soldiers being captured are circulating on the internet. Ukrainian troops control more than 80 settlements in the Kursk region. In 1 week, the armed forces of Ukraine were able to establish control over the same area of Russian territory that the Russians seized in Ukraine since the beginning of this year.
On the 6th of August, the Ukrainian troops broke through this checkpoint, and today us, ordinary journalists, are able to get into the Kursk region. Today we would like to show you the situation up there. Dear viewers, this is our first minutes in Sudzha, Kursk region. So far, as I can see, the city has some signs of shelling and fighting, but it's relatively better than comparing to the towns on the Ukrainian side, the frontline towns I've been to. So far we can hear shelling far from here and some drones, and also we've seen some civilians. We'll probably try to talk to some of them later today.
No, I don't want to leave. There are a lot of old people left here. Well, your guys bring us what we need. Medicine, food, water. Bread and water was delivered yesterday. I mean, we're not afraid of them. They're very friendly to us. They treat us well.
Today we started what is our duty, to provide assistance to the civilian population. Every day, we will have a therapist and a surgeon here to provide medicine and perform surgeries. Today we helped a woman with a shrapnel wound. We also have plenty of work to do tomorrow. We are trying to solve the issue of preserving the health of those who stayed here.
Behind me is the humanitarian hub in Sudzha, Kursk region, where Russian civilians can get food, water and medicine. It's interesting that most of them understand me talking Ukrainian to them. The Russian president promised 10,000 rubles, which is around $115 to those displaced from their homes. But according to the locals, there was no official evacuation taking place here.
The enemy is constantly striking at the settlements along the entire border. They are actively using aircraft, guided bombs, striking at settlements and civilians, thereby confirming their status as a terrorist state. They don't refrain from targeting the Russian population, such as in the city of Sudzha, where we are now.
Russia frequently tests Ukrainian defense, probing for weak spots and trying to break through. But this time, Ukraine turned the tables. As one officer said it in an interview, we will send our most capable units to their weakest point on the border. This logic certainly has paid off, as now Ukraine controls 92 settlements and 1,250 square kilometers of Russian soil, of Russian land in Kursk region. I'm sure this information is outdated by now, as Ukrainian forces advance daily.
So we have cash, we have a gun.
Yeah.
We'll be okay, I hope. It's audible here, and it's closer now than before. The next 24 hours we're going to be spending with the combat unit of Ukraine's military police in and around the battle for Kursk Oblast. When Ukrainian troops moved into Russia in August, it changed also the dynamic of the work of Ukraine's military police. For the first time in their history, they're controlling a territory that is outside of Ukraine. The next 24 hours we're going to be spending with the combat unit of Ukraine's military police in and around the battle for Kursk Oblast. The officer behind me is going to be accompanying us. Let's go. I know you guys are a combat unit, but like from the regular military police, what are their main jobs in Kursk?
So military police here is responsible for captured Russian soldiers, and also we're responsible for the deserters, which just left their position. Now we are close to the border, so anyway we're a little bit safer. Yeah, and by the way, the main gun which we are using here is a shotgun, just because it's way more safer for us to beat the FPV drones, which are definitely way more dangerous than anything else. So here's like actually a special bullet.
Anti-drone, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, anti-drone. Yeah, it's actually the last place when you can pay in hryvnia. In a few kilometers, it can be rubles or 545 or 556. So let's see.
Do you have any rubles?
No.
I have like 1,000, but my wife always telling me, throw it away. So
No.
But I said maybe we'll need it one day. Who knows?
Let me check, please. Just hold it a little bit. Oh no, I have a few rubles just for tips.
Oh, nice. Very good. So we have cash, we have a gun.
Yeah.
We'll be okay, I hope.
Yeah. Now, guys, we go to the border checkpoint. Don't worry if you forget your document. So now, guys, we move a little bit faster, just because it's a little bit dangerous for us. But anyway, everything will be fine for sure. Here is actually Gazprom pipeline system, but now it's under Ukronafta control. So
we're racing through the streets of Sudzha. This is the crossroad of death. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all hit by FPV drones. We're gonna switch off the camera because obviously we can't say where exactly we're going, and we will see each other at the next position. So we've arrived somewhere here in the forest, and it was a really wild ride through the fields. I wish we could have shown it to you. The guys are setting up for work. Some of them are keeping watch because you never know how close the Russians might be. Before the Ukrainian incursion into Kursk, the job of these guys were to react when there was news of Russian sabotage groups that had crossed the border into Ukrainian land. But they have a variety of skills, and right now they have they have the information of some Russian positions, and they're going to set up a mortar 120 millimeter, and they're going to fire at them.
Повісити сітку, щоб не було проходу FPV. Шукаєте місце проходу FPV, там де ветки він не пройде. Де є ділянка відкрита, тут закривають.
While others hold watch, the men prepare the mortar and set up a net to protect the crew from FPVs. Others dig a trench, just in case. While this exact tree line is technically on Ukrainian soil, the border that once separated the two countries has become a fluid and dynamic battlefield. Ukrainian troops moved into Kursk Oblast on August 6, initially capturing over 1,200 square kilometers. Since then, Russian troops have been counterattacking and have managed to regain territory in western Kursk.
So guys, I just briefly explain you what we're gonna do.
All right.
So we are somewhere here, and we're gonna fire with a mortar, and this we're gonna smash them and trying to
And get out of here as fast
Yeah.
as possible.
yeah, exactly. So like we're working like like a guys who are just came to the position.
It's a quick deployment.
Quick deployment, exactly, because we have some flexibility to work on the other direction. That is why we are we need to move fast and rotate in another direction
Fastly, I
fastly.
understand.
Exactly, yeah. By the way, we also have some evacuation point just for your understanding.
If the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, exactly. So just for you, when we go here, you will see a blog post on this crossroad.
The one we saw on the way.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be the first evacuation point for the 2.5 hours, and then if you're not see anyone else from the unit, go to the next close to the city.
Okay, I understand. So we just go back. So first point is down to the crossroad, 2.5 hours. No one. Then
Go to the
then
second one.
continue further.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thanks.
Anyway, yeah,
You
our
got
guys
that?
will.
All right. With everything set and night covering the forest, it's time to fire.
Постріл! Постріл! Постріл!
Пішла.
So now we are like in a easy command post. Now we are trying to track all our movements, trying to hit the building in the village.
What is it? Infantry inside, or are they hiding some machines? Or?
It's the infantry site, exactly in the infantry. So now we just make some correction, and I will until guys will prepare to the shoot. Є готові до пострілу, прийом.
Плюс одна коротка.
So now we wait until one minute and then we will shoot.
How does it feel for you shooting into Russia?
Nothing special. Like usual work, you know?
Yeah.
What should you do if you decided to serve the country some way?
Yeah.
And also mine, for Mortar, mine is completely don't care about what is your nationality, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
something like
explode.
that. Yeah. Плюс, даєш команду, я буду друга, прийом. Як прийняв мене прийом? So, okay, so
We have 35 seconds, right? Till it runs.
around 45, yeah. So 20 seconds left.
Ми чули пост.
Я також чув. Я думаю, вже не будемо чекати, відпрацюємо ще один і будемо збиратись. Прийом.
Alright, so job done for today, huh?
Yeah. So we will meet like at around 5 a.m. like tomorrow.
and continue.
Yeah, and continue to find some new interesting thing.
All right.
Yeah, for some experience, okay.
Let's do it.
We leave and drive back through the night. After a couple of hours of sleep, we return. Again, Maza and his men set up for work while others keep watch. But while yesterday was a success, today as the sun rises, we realize we are not alone. A Russian drone is buzzing overhead.
We hear the drone. I don't know if it's audible in the microphone, but it's definitely audible here, and it's closer now than before. Apart from that, it seems a bit like sometimes when you watch just the footage on the internet, it seems like flying drones is easy, like a game, but it's not at all. First of all, you need to find a good position that's close enough, but where you won't be spotted. The problem we're having right now. Second of all, you need to take into consideration all these other factors, like that the Russians have also a lot of drones, counter electronic warfare measures. The guys have been telling us the past days that they've tried to fly in this direction or not, and they realize there's an electronic warfare apparatus, some so-called rep there. Then they have to try and find different flight routes. And when you work like these guys do, quick deployment, no static positions, they don't, there's no shelter here. We're just standing in an especially complicated procedure and delicate.
Finally, the sound disappears and it's time to fly.
And when you are flying into targets on Russian territory, is it any different for you than when you are working just on Ukrainian territory? Like just for your feeling personally, or it's the same?
I don't know what do you mean? Is it have some difference?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
No.
No. Okay.
Each armored rooster have to die. Still, I have to revenge for my completely demolished village. It's right behind Izum, if you know that place.
Yeah, I was there after the liberation. It's your hometown?
It was home of my father.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to sorry.
The men launch multiple drones trying to penetrate the Russian defenses, but the enemy seems to have set up a solid electronic warfare system.
Видео отвалится. Ну, я не вижу сейчас ничего.
Просто лети вперед. Пока лети, блядь, сейчас может хуй знает. Попробуй поиграться с высотой. Я там сильно не поиграюсь, минималит нахрен.
Даже не по приборам. Лечу наугад.
Ну, как наугад, что ж ты?
Ну, хорошо.
Что-то пробило.
As if that was not enough, it seems like the Russian drone in the morning managed to pinpoint our position, at least approximately. Barely an hour after the drone vanishes, explosions start.
Make a picture of that.
Oh, the shells are starting to fall. Not close enough that we abort the mission, but close enough to decide that it's good to go to the trench. And this was dug yesterday. So at least we have a somewhat safe space, and now we wait and see.
Just need to wait, guys. Just need to wait.
Like always, the solution is
Yeah. Always, if you don't know what to do, just relax.
After 3 hits, we wait for a fourth, but it doesn't come. The boys try once again to penetrate the Russian electronic wall. But again, the signal is jammed and the drone falls.
Долетели, сразу вырубаем.
Так, тут нас въебали, прям сразу, бам. Сюда мы долетели вообще охуенно. Ваше предложение, товарищи Викторович.
Обходите тут, блин, по полю.
Вправо уходить. Если сюда летит, то вправо.
It makes no sense to continue working under these conditions.
So as you saw, the Russian electronic warfare in this sector is super strong. Not a single FPV drone of ours made it through. Then the shelling started, so we decided it's not worth it to risk our lives here for such a small result. Still, we wanted to show you something that was meant to be the highlight of the mission, but also the highlight of this report. And it's some call it the Dragon drone, others a Thermite drone. It's the new Ukrainian weapon that has been going viral on the internet. And yeah, it spews fire.
Main part of the drone is the same. We are using like a basic drone, but the main thing which is makes him so efficient is this fire, I don't know, tube. We just throw the fire through it, like when we start to engage it. So yeah, it's quite effective. I don't know really what exactly inside of it, but anyway,
it doesn't matter, huh?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if it fires so well.
What's the? You guys use it quite often, you said, huh?
Yeah, we use it quite often, but it only depends on how much ammunition we have, because like most of the time we just made it by ourselves.
What's the most effective way to use it? Like, what is it best against? I guess against tanks or armored vehicles, it's not so.
The most efficient way how to use it in a barren tree line. Yeah.
With infantry sitting in the trenches.
Yeah, with infantry which is sitting in the trenches.
All right. Well, we filmed that. Now let's get out of here before something happens.
Unfortunately, it was not successful as we planned. But anyway, we're still alive. Everything is okay.
That always helps.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll continue our war, our battle. And so, anyway, it's never ends until we die. Or something else will happen. So, we'll see.
As we drive back home, Maza and his men remain, continuing the fight for Kursk and for the safety of Ukraine's borders. As Maza himself put it, until we die or something else happens. Unfortunately, for one of his crew, Kozak, who was operating the Mortar, that became a reality much sooner than anticipated. Just a week after our visit, on the same position, he died after suffering severe shrapnel wounds to the chest.
So, today we are showing you the Stryker. It comes in many variants. It's a family of vehicles. Some are for air defense, others have a tank gun on top. Ukraine received only one kind, this one. Browning machine gun, smoke grenades. It's an infantry fighting vehicle meant for transporting assault troops, evacuating the wounded. It's quite an old machine, but it's pretty fast, 120 kilometers an hour max speed, and it's pretty cool.
The Stryker first entered service in 2002 and was deployed by the USA in Iraq for counterinsurgency purposes. Now, in 2024, the machine is in a real war. This specific crew has been on the Stryker for 2 months. Their first mission on Russian soil in Kursk Oblast.
The first experience is something you never forget. With 3 Strykers, we moved towards enemy positions, transporting troops under cover of machine gun fire and tanks. We drove about 10 kilometers and were attacked by drones, but we managed to deploy the troops successfully. We hit our designated targets and then returned to the waiting point. Once the troops completed their task, we went back to pick them up.
Lichy is the gunner. His job is to provide covering fire for the infantry with a 12.7mm Browning machine gun.
These are normal rounds, but every fifth is a tracing round. We have separate cases with armor-piercing ammunition. And there are also smoke grenades when you need to cover the car, as they create a smoke screen.
Димові гранати вистрілюють, гранати і становлять димову завісу.
Допомагають типу втекти?
Ні, при наступі.
No, it's for during an offensive, so drones don't spot you.
Кулемет обертається.
The machine gun rotates 360 degrees, has both night and day vision, and can load 250 rounds.
Патронів.
Just for comparison, huh? Yeah.
This is a 5.45mm round from a Kalashnikov assault rifle.
5.45.
This is a 7.62mm caliber round from a machine gun, and this is a 12.7mm Browning.
Ваш улюблений?
Well, right now, yes.
Well, you can understand from the difference of the projectile, you can understand the difference of what happens if it hits you. So a vest like he's wearing can help against this. If it's a really good vest, maybe against this, but with that, infantry doesn't really stand a chance.
After checking out the top, Lichy takes us inside.
There are two ways in and out of this machine, at least for the passenger transport area. One is through the back, and one is through this lovely hatch. Feels a bit like a submarine or a spacecraft, but it's fun. So this is the inside of the Stryker APC, and well, its main job is to transport troops into battle and out of battle, evacuate wounded, bring in assault troops. As you can see, there's space for 8 soldiers here, but the guys told us that sometimes they take 10, 12, even 15 people. The crew consists typically, when they go into battle, just of a gunner who sits here and a driver who sits in that hole back there. Sometimes they take guys with them, depends on the mission, to help them so everything goes faster, because obviously when you're driving, the huge danger is that you're spotted, FPV drones, artillery, Lancets, so sometimes it needs to be really fast when they pick people up, when they bring them back. But yeah, that's it. It's quite an old machine, as you can see. I don't know when it was built. The guys don't know exactly either, but still, it works, and that's the main thing.
Одного з завдань.
Oh, you can see what the inside looks like after one of our missions.
It's a Krofta.
Yes, and that's not much. Sometimes there's more. But we haven't lost anyone in our vehicle yet. We get the guys to the evacuation point fast, where an ambulance is waiting, and they're taken care of from there.
All right, so now we're gonna meet the driver. Not bad. Come up. Zack.
Ви тут водій же, правильно? І що ви, як вам взагалі машина? Як на вашому досвіді вона себе показує, порівняно, можливо, з чимось іншим?
The car is generally very good. The ride, the controls are all top level. The driver can adjust the seat and steering wheel. It's comfortable. Driving it feels great.
Може, якась ще історія чи якийсь випадок пригадуєте, коли вона вас прям дуже рятувала? Не знаю.
It saved not only me, but also the paratroopers who needed to evacuate the wounded. We came under mortar fire, and the car withstood the attack. Shrapnel pierced the metal, but the Stryker held up, getting us from A to B, no questions asked.
I have a more seriously, can I try and sit down? Is it okay?
Чи нормально, якщо він спробує сісти там, як водій, відчути?
Да, можна. Це просто мені цікаво, да. He said it's automatic, да?
Це автоматично.
Ви сказали, так?
Є автоматик.
Wow. It's a small space, huh? It feels a little bit small for me, but he said you can actually regulate and change everything. There are definitely a lot more buttons than I expected. A lot more buttons and a lot more indicators. But it's automatic, so you don't have to change gears, which I guess helps a lot. But still, to imagine to drive into battle with this kind of old school steering wheel. It has a horn, by the way, you can honk. That must be pretty crazy. I'm impressed, but at the same time I'm a little bit like, you know, even I am just nervous just sitting here and thinking about that you're actually going to fight with this. Crazy. But respect to the guys for sure. Well, great experience. Usually when that door opens, the soldiers sitting inside don't know exactly what's waiting for them on the outside. But probably it's hell. In this case, thank God we're at a safe place in the forest. But Stryker, pretty cool machine. In 2024, the unthinkable is happening. Ukrainian soldiers on American machines fighting on Russian soil. While we leave, Lichy and Siga prepare for their next mission in Russia. Lichy sees the war with great sadness, but for him, there is no other way.
As a kid, I loved shooting games and playing with toy military vehicles. But it's one thing when it's just a game. When I saw the horrors in the Kursk region, I realized this has been happening in Donbass for 10 years. This horror has to stop. Evil must be punished. I didn't want to fight, but I had to protect my home. Towns, fields, and animals all destroyed. When the Russians retreated, they looted and they abandoned people. There are still civilians in Kursk we try to support with food and water since everything's cut off. No gas, no electricity. Mostly they're elderly or without means, as those who could afford it quickly fled, leaving their neighbors behind. We also help with medicine when needed.
At the end of October, the first North Korean soldiers arrived in Russia's Kursk region. According to Ukraine's intelligence, their number is estimated at around 12,000. But why did Putin have to seek help from a fellow dictator? In August, international media erupted with news of Ukrainians breaking through the Russian border. Russians reported that these attempts were of course successfully repelled, as they claimed daily. However, it seems the Ukrainians didn't read those reports, as they still remain on enemy territory. So how was the Kursk operation prepared and carried out, forcing Putin to invite foreign troops onto Russian soil? The operation was planned with extreme secrecy. Equipment was hidden in forests, and troop movements were disguised as pre-announced military exercises. On August 6th, several groups of Ukrainians crossed the border in Russia's Sudzha and Koreneva districts. Almost immediately, fighters from the 80th Assault Brigade, supported by a tank, seized the Russian border checkpoint Sudzha and captured dozens of Russian soldiers. The border was mainly defended by inexperienced conscripts and the publicized Akhmat unit of Kadyrov, rarely seen in real combat. They couldn't stop the surprise Ukrainian breakthrough. One of the key assault units was the 225th Separate Assault Battalion, highly experienced fighters who previously fought in Kharkiv, Bakhmut, Makiyivka, Gorlivka, Avdiivka, and Chasiv Yar. Within the first day, Ukrainian forces controlled 11 settlements and advanced 15 kilometers into Russian territory. The Ukrainians learned from past offensives, using mine-clearing vehicles, air defenses, and electronic warfare systems, analyzed the foreign affairs. In the following days, Ukrainians breached 2 major lines of fortifications Russia had built over the past 2.5 years, spending about $155 million on them. Meanwhile, Russia started deploying reserves, which propagandists happily reported in videos. Ukrainian artillery thanked them with a HIMARS strike on a convoy near Oktyabrskaya village. The footage shows 15 destroyed trucks with bodies of the dead. Each truck could carry up to 35 fully equipped soldiers. Russia also suffered heavy losses in equipment. On August 7th, possibly for the first time in history, a helicopter was downed by an FPV drone. Later, footage of another such strike was published. A land-lease of a kind had also traditionally happened. In the first weeks of the operation, the 80th Brigade paratroopers captured 7 Russian tanks of various models in the Kursk region. By August 11th, reports suggested that Ukrainian tactics were changing. After fast breakthroughs using vehicles on roads, they began preparing to hold the territory. Forbes reported that Ukrainian and Russian forces started digging in. On August 20th, Ukraine's armed forces showed the first official map of the territories they controlled in the Kursk region, covering 1,263 square kilometers and 93 settlements. Additionally, by the end of August, 594 Russian soldiers had been captured. How is Russia trying to stop the Ukrainian advance? Russian command redeployed thousands of troops to Kursk from other fronts, including the tough Pokrovsk direction. When that didn't help, elite Marine brigades, including the 810th and 155th, as well as the 106th Airborne Division, were sent to Kursk. In early September, Russians attempted a counteroffensive and even regained control of about 10 settlements. To compensate for heavy losses, they had to send more and more troops to Kursk. By early October, Ukrainian commander Syrsky noted that Russia had sent 50,000 soldiers there, not including North Koreans. Sources report that Putin ordered his forces to push the Ukrainian armed forces out of the Kursk region by mid-October. The plan failed, and the Russian dictator had to turn to his North Korean totalitarian counterpart. Putin is sending more forces to this front, while Syrsky outlined 5 key goals for Ukraine's Kursk operation. Deny Russia the use of the border region as a platform for a new offensive. Distract Russian forces from other directions. Create a security zone and prevent shelling of civilian targets. Capture as many enemy troops as possible. Boost the morale of Ukrainians. Ukrainians continue to carry out their plan to bring the war to enemy territory. Now Russians have to bomb and shell their own towns.
According to the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, around 11,000 troops from North Korea are preparing to fight against Ukraine. What exactly is the North Korean army? What interest does North Korea have in helping Putin? And how does this pose a threat to the entire world? At the beginning of November, North Koreans in Russia's Kursk region faced the Ukrainian armed forces for the first time. This is the next step in the escalation uptaken by the so-called New Axis of Evil. Previously, North Korea had already supplied Russia with over 7,000 ship containers of military aid, while Iran has sent thousands of the infamous Shahed drones, the technology for their production, and ballistic missiles to Russia. North Korean troops are now not far away from NATO borders. North Korea has already delivered 3.5 million artillery shells to Russia. For comparison, the European initiative to gather 1 million shells for Ukraine was seriously delayed. Why does Putin need North Korea's manpower, and what will they receive in return? The North Korean army is larger than that of the US. There is no exact data, but it is believed that their armed forces consist of more than 1.3 million people. Adding reserves would total about a quarter of the country's population of 25 to 26 million. According to the U.S. State Department's 2021 World Military Expenditures and Arms Transfers Report, North Korea spends 26% of its GDP on military expenses, the highest among 170 countries in the report. These expenses increase almost yearly. However, not just the language barriers, but also ideological ones are obvious. Moscow is forced to rely on foreign troops to fight on its own territory in Kursk. Another feature, the North Koreans have encountered the real world for the first time. According to the Financial Times journalist, one outcome of this encounter is that they've become addicted on pornography. Additionally, 18 North Korean servicemen may have already deserted their positions, likely put off by the prospect of a mid-grinder assault on fortified positions, armed only with Kalashnikovs, a favorite Russian tactic. North Korea also has heavy equipment, with approximately 3,500 medium and light tanks, though mostly outdated. These include T-54-55s and about 175 Chinese Type 59 tanks. The strike force of the North Korean army is its artillery, 21,600 units. Among these are KN-09 multiple 300mm caliber rocket launchers with a range of up to 200 kilometers, and KN-25 systems with a range of up to 380 kilometers, and a 600mm caliber rocket. Russian bloggers have directly called these analogs of HIMARS and are hoping for their delivery to the Russian army. Additionally, North Korea appears to have conducted a mobilization within its armed forces. According to an official statement from the North Korean news agency, over 1.4 million people volunteered to join the military. Furthermore, North Koreans already have experience fighting on foreign soil. In 1967, North Korea began supplying arms to Communist Vietnam. Also, up to 200 North Korean pilots fought on the side of the Vietnamese communists. They also flew aircraft during the Arab-Israeli conflict in 1973, when Syria and Egypt sought North Korea's assistance. North Korea supplied weapons to Iran as well, circumventing sanctions. Along with missile launchers, around 100 military personnel were sent to the Islamic Republic. What did Putin offer to the infamous enemy of the civilized world for his help? In October, the Russian parliament ratified a partnership agreement between Russia and North Korea. Russia receives ammunition, missiles, and other weaponry from North Korea. In return, North Korea is interested in upgrading its military technology, including fighter jets, ballistic missile guidance systems, and submarines equipped with such missiles. North Korea is actively developing its missile program and even conducts tests of strategic missiles. Russia continues its aggression, now involving its allies in dictatorship. If they're not stopped, this poses new threats to the entire civilized world.
Six months ago, it was hard to imagine that American equipment would be on enemy territory. However, today, this is a reality. Here we see that the Dragon's Teeth and embankments are not obstacles for US-made armored vehicles. They have paved a new road right in the middle of the field, despite all the efforts of the Russians. Bradley deploys a smokescreen to mask its movements. The crew starts shooting at the tree line where the Russians hide. Having spotted the position, the Ukrainian crew fires TOW anti-tank missiles at the aggressors. Under the cover of their comrades, the Bradley crew advances towards the enemy positions. And again, active fire is directed at the occupiers, not allowing them to relax for a moment. The Bradley is equipped with the 25mm M242 autocannon. That is its main weapon. Usually, Bradley carries 300 ready-to-use rounds in 2 boxes. One of 70 rounds, usually AP-type rounds. The other of 230 rounds, usually HE-type rounds, plus another 600 rounds in storage. The smokescreen allows you to hide maneuvers from the enemy. Thanks to the camera mounted on the Bradley, we can evaluate its performance on rough terrain. These drone shots allow you to evaluate the performance of the M2A2 Bradley from a bird's eye view. We see 2 Ukrainian crews making their way along the road between trees, Dragon's Teeth, and embankments. A smokescreen is immediately deployed and firework begins on enemy positions. From this perspective, the launch of tow missiles looks particularly striking. We also see another Ukrainian crew approaching from behind. Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, supported by an M1 Abrams tank, keep attacking Russian positions in a tree line. Due tough, the well-coordinated interaction of the Bradley IFVs and Abrams tank, the crews destroyed the occupiers' dugouts with tow anti-tank missiles and provided powerful fire support to our infantry. Thanks for watching and subscribe to our channel to stay updated with all the latest news from Ukraine.
speed is incredible, the firepower too.
So as you can see behind me is a US-made Bradley that belongs to the 47th Brigade here in the Sumy region. There's a triangle here, which means that basically they're fighting now in Kursk with these machines. Now let's take a closer look at the specifics of these. So obviously we're not in an emergency situation, we're not on a battlefield, but this is how the infantry go inside this IFV. So,
there's no wonder they can only communicate through their helmet, because it's really loud. Normally there would be 8 people here. This is how they go to the battlefield. The machine gunner cabin is right behind me. There's a feeling we're super fast, and despite everything, there's a good feeling of protection from inside. Now I said 8, but sometimes they can have way more when they need to evacuate wounded from the battlefield.
Yeah, we're just out. Obviously, we heard the sound of a drone. It's ours. It's our team, that is. But yeah, heading out from this vehicle, and as I said before, not knowing what to expect, and having to be ready for the fight while, like as I did, basically, you know, looking at the sky just to check if there's some FPV or whatnot. Yeah, that must be very, very heavy feeling on those soldiers. For some who have been fighting for, well, almost 3 years now.
Deep in the woods close to the Russian border, men from the 47th Brigade are waiting for the next mission. The US has supplied over 300 Bradleys to Ukraine. First deployed in the Second Gulf War and the Iraq War, these IFVs have been on the Ukrainian battlefield since 2023. The Bradleys have a 25mm Bushmaster chain gun and TOW anti-tank missile systems to engage Russian tanks. At roughly 60 kilometers per hour, the IFV is a lifesaver on the battlefield.
On the Kursk front, the Bradleys work very well. We take infantry to positions, evacuate a lot of people, and save a lot of lives. We also coordinate with tanks and infantry fighting vehicles. So when there's an attack, we manage to repel assaults.
The machine gunner's cabin is extremely small, but well thought out for tough fights.
First, the driver starts the vehicle. I start the tower. And we work with this joystick to control the cannon, the machine gun, the whole thing. It's going well. I enjoy it a lot. Sometimes when we head out, it can be a bit scary, but we keep going because it's our job.
This IFV has multiple holes caused by shrapnels. It went through a lot. The machine is a prized target for the Russians. Its 2-centimeter thick hull allows it to withstand heavy shellings and sometimes even mines.
The speed is incredible, the firepower too. In terms of armor, the vehicle can resist FPVs.
On top of the Bradley, the men have installed a makeshift cage to stop Russian FPVs. They call it the grill.
Before, we didn't have the grill, and we had a few hot situations, but now it's way better. There's no grill anymore, and we dragged half a kilometer of cable behind us. I don't know if it's ours or the enemy's, but it stretches behind us for about half a kilometer.
The Bradley is manned by a crew of 3. Coke is the commander.
It's like with your brothers in arms. They become more than just colleagues. They become a part of you, like family. So naturally, when it comes to the brigade, it's the same. From the moment I joined, I've stayed with it, and it feels dear to me.
The brigade lost a few Bradleys during the failed counteroffensive in 2023, but has continued to deploy them from Avdiivka to Kursk.
I know they have Marines and paratroopers. They've got quite a lot of them there. The 155th Naval Infantry, the 810th. We've come across them during operations on the Zaporizhzhia front. They got a good look at us then. Exactly. That's how we got acquainted. So you could say we have an old love story with them.
Reportedly, Russian troops have already recaptured 40% of its territory in Kursk, and Koch says they shouldn't be underestimated.
When they say on TV that Russia only has poor trained conscripts fighting, it's not true. Maybe at the beginning, when they weren't prepared for the level of resistance we'd put up, when they were moving in columns and getting smashed, that was one thing. But now, barely anyone fights like that anymore.
Some Russians keep trying to engage in columns. It doesn't end well for them. The Bradleys are still proving their efficiency every day on the Kursk front.
I think the next 3 months will be tough, just like the ones before and just like the ones after. Our units were among the first to enter the Kursk region. We've tested the armor in action, and it performed flawlessly. At least it's never boring.
The Kursk operation has been progressing with varying success since August 2024. For almost 6 months now, the Ukrainian army has maintained control of the enemy's territory as a buffer zone, tying down a significant number of enemy forces. Today we are somewhere in the rear of the Kursk operation with the units of 82nd Paratrooper Brigade. Behind this net is the tank we used to film back in the day. It's the Challenger 2 and it is hidden in this tree line because of the danger of being seen from above. Here we are not so far from the enemy lines. And while the soldiers wait for their next orders, we have a chance to talk to the crew and to discuss how the operation is going and what kind of task they do.
The main tasks are to prevent and repel enemy assaults. So, if the enemy decides to reclaim a section of the front, we're there to stop them. In the face of enemy offensives, we've performed quite well, with the results that are, let's say, very, very satisfying.
The war in Ukraine has become a war of innovation, with every new technology countered by another. The Challenger 2, a tank from the late 1990s, is not perfectly suited for modern warfare, so the soldiers have had to make adjustments.
We use auxiliary panels that we made ourselves and reinforcements for the chassis. We tried using netting, but it didn't perform very well. Currently, the most effective solution is electronic warfare systems.
The crew says they feel well protected inside the tank. From their experience, its armor can withstand hits from at least 5 FPV drones, and even if critical parts are damaged, they have enough time to evacuate safely.
On August 6, 2024, when we moved towards Kursk and crossed the border, we reached our designated position. Enemy helicopters started flying overhead. They spotted us, but let us pass. We secured a foothold and began our work. Later, 2 helicopters returned and opened fire on us. One cumulative shell hit the turret but didn't penetrate it. The tank held up.
In addition to repelling assaults, these tanks provide cover for Ukrainian infantry during offensive operations in the Kursk region. Rager, a 22-year-old company commander, recalls the early days of the operation.
I personally led my unit at the start of the Kursk operation. My company destroyed 2 Alligator helicopters, one with a Browning machine gun and the other with a Western-made man-portable air defense system. At that time, my unit captured nearly 20 Russian servicemen.
військовослужбовців Російської Федерації.
And destroyed more than 4 pieces of equipment.
Більше 4 одиниць бойової техніки. І, звісно,
We also conducted successful raids and counteroffensive actions on enemy territory.
На території противника. Успішно.
A lot has changed in these 6 months. North Korean assaults, fiber optic drones, and more. The battlefield has become a testing ground for new technologies and tactics, with both sides adapting at a rapid pace. Despite these challenges, Ukrainian soldiers continue to find creative solutions, leveraging a mix of Western equipment and their own ingenuity.
The enemy, as we understand it, is also not standing still. It is making progress. Both we and the enemy have tactical successes. Everything is like a real war. In this regard, the front is no different from Zaporizhia, Donetsk, Luhansk, or Vovchansk. Everything is the same. At the moment, it's no different. The only thing is that on the map, we are in the Kursk region.
Recently, President Zelensky shared a video of captured soldiers from North Korea being interrogated. They said that they had been misled, supposedly sent for military training. However, the reality turned out to be different. So we collected all the information about North Koreans fighting against Ukrainians.
Чи знаєте ви, де ви зараз?
지금 여기가 어딘지 알아?
Не знає. Ви перебуваєте в Україні.
넌 지금 우크라이나에 있어, 우크라이나.
Ви знали, що ви воюєте проти України?
우크라이나 상대로 싸우는 거 알고 있었지. 몰랐어?
Не знав.
Маску, пусть оденут, и все. Да? Маску оденут. И кто все равно то знает, да?
From the beginning, there were attempts to keep the presence of North Korean soldiers a secret. While being trained, they were even forbidden to show their faces. The Russian military tried to delete any video evidence of their presence. When the first casualties occurred, the Russians tried to literally burn the faces of the killed North Korean soldiers. The Ukrainian military notes that the tactics of the North Koreans reflect both weakness and courage. Their trump card is good physical training. They do not rely on the use of drones. They wear very strange but funny hats. They carry their weapons as if they were Mosin Nagant rifles. It seems that they employ the same tactics as they did 70 years ago. This footage shows North Korean soldiers forcing local residents out of their homes into the freezing cold to hide in their homes. Interestingly, this video was filmed in the Kursk region of Russia, so it's clear that they don't really care who they fight against. Here you can see how soldiers of the Ukrainian Special Forces repelled an assault by the North Korean troops in the Kursk region.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after
During
it.
the battle, which lasted from morning until evening, the Rangers of the 6th Special Purpose Regiment eliminated 17 North Korean soldiers, including one who blew himself up with a grenade. An 8-hour battle of Ukrainian soldiers in Kursk.
You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some honestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make
The combined enemy forces, the Russians and North Korean troops, outnumbered our fighters dozens of times. It is reported that not a single fighter of the Ukrainian unit was injured. This is incredible work and heroism.
I never got anyone's help, I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness.
The 1st Mechanized Battalion of the 22nd Motorized Rifle Brigade repels an infantry assault by North Korean soldiers in Kursk. The video also shows documents issued by the Russian Federation to the North Koreans. This footage clearly shows that the North Korean soldiers have yet to learn how to defend themselves effectively against Ukrainian drones. In the Kursk region, one crew of FPV drones of the 8th Special Forces Regiment eliminated 77 North Korean soldiers and wounded more than 40 others in 3 days. In addition, 12 vehicles, 3 buggies, and 1 armored personnel carrier were destroyed. Precise and well-coordinated work by Ukrainian UAV operators. And here, Ukrainian special forces showed how they captured a North Korean soldier. Operators of the 84th Special Forces Tactical Group captured a North Korean soldier during a special operation in the Kursk region. After evacuating him from the battlefield, the operators provided the North Korean prisoner of war with first aid. And here is a video of the same Koreans captured by Ukrainian fighters. The wounded were taken to Kiev. Ukrainian soldiers initially tried to talk to them using Google Translate. The Security Service of Ukraine has revealed the first details about the North Korean prisoners of war. At the time of their capture, one of them had a Russian military ID issued in the name of another person registered in the Russian Federation. The ID was issued in the fall of 2024. At the same time during the week, the North Korean soldiers coordinated their actions with Russian groups. The other had no documents at all. Born in 2005, the DPRK soldier held the position of rifleman and has been doing military service in North Korea since 2021. Interestingly, just like the Russians in 2022, he claimed that he allegedly came for military training, not to take part in the war against Ukraine. Another prisoner of war confirmed the testimony of his comrade. According to preliminary data, he was born in 1999 and has been serving in the DPRK Army as a sniper reconnaissance officer since 2016. And here is a fragment of the interrogation of North Korean soldiers.
Не знає. Ви перебуваєте в Україні.
넌 지금 우크라이나에 있어, 우크라이나.
Ви знали, що ви воюєте проти України?
우크라이나 상대로 싸우는 거 알고 있었지. 몰랐어?
Не знав. А що вам казали ваші командири, коли відправляли на війну?
그러면 여기 지휘관들 모자는 뭐라고 그랬어? 누구랑 싸운다고 했어?
훈련을 실전처럼 해본다고 했어요.
Йому казали, що просто тренування.
북한의 가족들이 없어? 있어?
Родина є. Вони знають, де ви зараз?
부모님은 지금 너 어디 있는지 알아?
А як довго він на лінії фронту?
그러면 전선에는 1월 3일부터만 있었던 거야? 1월 3일부터 있었고, 그러고 언제까지? 잡혔을 때까지?
1월 3일 날 나와서 옆에 동료들이 죽는 것을 보고 거기 난강호에 숨어 있다가 5일 날 부상당하고 그래.
3 числа був наступ. Бачив, що його солдати вмирають. Сховався у бліндажі. 5 числа його знайшли. Така історія. Ви хочете повернутися назад в Північну Корею?
북한으로 다시 돌아가고 싶어? 조선으로 다시 돌아가고 싶어?
Так. Ви хочете повернутися назад в Північну Корею?
다시 북한으로 돌아가고 싶어?
우크라이나 사람들은 다 좋은가요?
우크라이나 괜찮은 것 같아? 여긴 좋아.
여기서 살고 싶어요.
Я хочу жити в Україні. Ми розуміємо, що ви не володіли інформацією повною мірою, тому ми готові допомагати.
너는 지금 우리 여기 우크라이나 친구들이랑 나를 포함해서 아까 여기 선생님들 계셨잖아. 그분들이랑 잘 얘기를 하면 여기서 최대한 살 수 있도록 우리가 잘 해볼 테니까 건강하게 잘 있어야 돼. 건강하게 잘 있고 밥 주는 거 잘 먹고 알겠지? 자주 올 테니까.
집에는 안 보내주겠지요?
집에 가고 싶어?
가라면 가길래.
가라면 갈 거고 우크라이나 남으라고 하면 남을 거고.
Він сказав, що в принципі як йому скажуть. Тобто, якщо йому потрібно буде повертатися, то він повертатиметься. Якщо йому дадуть шанс залишитися тут, то він залишиться.
It should be noted that the task of capturing the North Korean soldiers was not an easy one. Usually the Russians and other North Korean soldiers finish off their wounded comrades and do everything possible to leave no evidence of another state's involvement, namely North Korea, in the war against Ukraine. However, perhaps these videos might serve as an example for other Koreans, showing that the so-called military training trip offered by the Russians is not the best idea. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel to stay updated with all the latest news from Ukraine.
Their involvement in combat often proves decisive. They appear where Russians try to break through and push them back. The cannon literally tears apart enemy APCs. They are called to evacuate people in the toughest situations. The Bradley regularly upholds its reputation as the best APC. In this video, you'll see it for yourself. Interested? Subscribe for more. This is a unique operation involving simultaneous assaults on two positions. First, an M1117 armored vehicle sets out to draw enemy attention. Next, a Bradley and an M113 vehicle follow. They split up to deploy troops at two different locations. Under enemy fire, the M113 reaches its position. Troops dismount and secure the trench. Meanwhile, the Bradley moves to the second drop-off point. It is continuously engaging with the enemy, providing cover for the soldiers. The Ukrainian assault troops strike the enemy. The first group complete their mission. Excellent work. An important battle for this trench system. A Bradley IFV, accompanied by a clearing team, moves out on a mission. Russian forces spot them and attack the Bradley. The armored vehicle successfully reaches the drop-off point. Ukrainian soldiers take control of the trench. There's definitely an enemy presence. Ukrainian mortars and drones support the assault team. A Ukrainian soldier advances towards an enemy dugout and tosses a smoke grenade inside. He secures the exit, waiting for the enemy. No one comes out. The soldier retrieves explosives, flanks the fortification, and throws them inside. A final smoke grenade for confirmation. No movement. Mission accomplished. Kursk Oblast. The Bradleys advance for an assault. The defensive line has been breached, and Russian positions are ahead. This area is occupied by enemy troops and covered by their fortifications. By deploying thermal smoke screens, the Bradleys make it impossible for the Russians to use ATGMs. The Bushmaster cannon begins its onslaught. Suddenly, the Bradley stops to launch a missile. From these points, the enemy could strike with ATGMs. The Bradley fires its TOW missile. The target is destroyed. The Bradley launches the second missile. Good job. The Bradleys are moving towards the wooded area. The enemy is demoralized. Their APCs are very close. You can hear the continuous roar of Bushmaster cannons. The American APCs moved close to Russian positions. The 25mm cannon destroys everything in its path. This Bradley unit fires 10 rounds per second. The shell tears through the trees and destroys Russian fortifications. Mission accomplished. It's time to retreat. In 15 minutes, the armored vehicles turned the Russian positions and fortifications into rubble. Mission 2. 2 Bradleys attack Russian positions. The enemy resists. The Russians use a grenade launcher to stop the Bradleys. The armored vehicle keeps on moving. A Russian FPV drone attacks the second APC. The attack fails. The APCs reach their destination and deploy the assault troops. Mission accomplished. Donetsk Oblast, Ukraine. The Bradley moves forward. It's already under attack. An ATGM strike doesn't stop it. The Ukrainians deploy smoke screens in advance. The Bradley approaches rapidly. And now it's in position. Ukrainian troops disembark from the armored vehicle. The Russians target the retreating APC. But the Bradley's armor can withstand even that. While this APC is destroying enemy positions, we have a chance to understand why its armor is so effective. Take a closer look. On both sides, around the turret, and at the front of the hull, you can see rectangular blocks. This is reactive armor, 2 rows of 15 blocks each. At the front, there are 3 rows. You can clearly see reactive armor on the turret of the APC as well. These elements protect the most vulnerable parts of the Bradley. The APC has completed its mission and is returning to base. And here's a clear example of the reactive armor in action. The Russians attack the APC, but they don't succeed. One of the recent situations. The Russians noticed the approaching Bradley and launched a Cornet missile. The operator precisely guides the missile to the target. The armor penetration of this missile is 1,200 millimeters. A second Cornet hit stops the APC, but the armor saves the lives of the Ukrainian crew, who exit the damaged vehicle. Now, a bit about the Bradley's weaponry using a specific example. Russian assault troops head out on a mission. The Ukrainians already know about it. The Bradleys are on their way to intercept them. Here comes the Russian APC. The enemy spots the drone. They're in position. The soldiers quickly escape from the armored vehicle. The Bradley approaches. The Russian APC turns around, but it's already in the Bradley's sights. The distance between them is 2 kilometers. The autocannon fires. At this moment, the enemy realizes they're in trouble. Bradley's shells hit the target precisely. One of the fuel tanks is pierced. The fuel catches fire. This Bradley's crew has definitely earned a like. Another assault. The Russian APC spots the Bradley. It opens fire and shoots directly at the American APC. It's a reckless plan. The American APC returns fire. Each shot hits the target precisely. The Russian APC veers off the road to avoid crashing into the Bradley. The duel is over. The Bradley wins the battle. The APC is destroyed. Here, Russians attacked one of the Ukrainian positions. The enemy APC was stopped. A nearby Bradley, standing by, moves in to provide assistance. It opens fire on the Russian APC. Take a look at the armor plates flying off the APC. A similar situation. The Bradley attacks the APC. The Russian armored vehicle falls apart after being hit by the American. Will this assault group succeed in their plan? The Bradley lies in ambush. It launches a TOW missile. It misses. It's crucial for the Russian APC to reach the settlement. This will allow the airborne troops to establish a foothold. Russian soldiers quickly disembark from the APC. The armored vehicle drives off. However, it is followed by a drone. The drone hits the APC. Another strike. The APC is destroyed. The Bradley is already in the settlement, and here come the Russian airborne troops. The APC attacks the enemy. The enemy fails to establish a foothold. TOW missiles regularly help to destroy Russian tanks. This is a Bradley. This is a Russian tank. The Bradley fires a missile. A perfect hit. And here's the result. Another combat mission involving the Bradley. It begins by clearing a safe path. The American APC fires along the wooded area to secure the route. This tank and the APC clear the area where the enemy has infiltrated. The tank moves in first, targeting potential enemy positions. The Bradley covers the right flank. They pass through the first dangerous area. The enemy is spotted in this area. The tank and the Bradley successfully clear the area of the enemy. This Bradley was sent in to rescue Ukrainian soldiers who were in trouble. These positions became the target of a massive assault. Ukrainian artillery had to use cluster munitions to stop the enemy. And here comes the Bradley. It approaches closely. The Ukrainians evacuate. The Bradley attacks the enemy and retreats. Mission accomplished. The soldiers are safe. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.